Hello, hello. So, welcome to video number 2. I am so excited to share this topic with you guys, as this is really the foundational, um, I guess, philosophical, theoretical foundation of how I got into the field of therapy and counseling. And so, today we're going to be talking about a mind body technique that I got my master's degree in called drama therapy. So, the first thing that I want to talk about is why creative arts therapy is considered a mind body technique. Creative arts therapy, whether it's art therapy, dance therapy, somatic therapy, drama therapy, integrates mental, emotional, and physical processes to promote healing and well being. It engages the whole person, mind, body, and spirit, using artistic expression as a way to process emotions, reduce stress, and improve overall health. So here are the practicalities of how creative arts therapy works as a mind-body technique. Number one, it engages the brain and the body simultaneously. So activities like drama, dance, music, they activate both cognitive and sensory motor functions, creating a bridge between thoughts and emotions and physical movement. So an example could be drumming or dancing involves rhythm and movement, which can help regulate the nervous system, which leads us to point number two. Number two, it regulates the nervous system. So, art therapy, music therapy, and movement based techniques can reduce stress and anxiety by activating the parasympathetic rest and digest response, which we talked about in our first video conference together. So, an example, playing music can lower cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase dopamine. So, the feel good neurotransmitter. Number three, it promotes emotional expression and processing. So, expressing emotions through art or music allows individuals to process trauma, grief, or stress without relying solely on verbal communications. I think a lot of people believe that these creative arts therapies are purely designed for children, where really the way I think about it is I feel like as adults, we're all like children on a playground trying to figure out and understand life. And creativity is really just a form of problem solving. So creative arts therapies is not exclusive, it's an inclusive modality that can be used in individual and group settings. Number four, lots of research shows that it improves physical and mental health. So movement-based therapies can improve flexibility, coordination, and help to release stored trauma in the body. Music and visual arts can help to reduce pain perception, making them effective for individuals with chronic pain or illness. Two more, and then we'll jump into the fun stuff. But it encourages mindfulness and flow states. So, engaging in creative activities can induce a flow state where a person is fully present and immersed in the activity, similar to meditation. So, I think we use the example of Shannon using pottery as a way to engage this flow state. So, this mindful engagement can reduce negative thought patterns and increase positive emotions. It's why, from a holistic perspective, I ask my clients, what do you do for fun? What do you do that you enjoy? Because that could be something that is helping them to not just stay in the cognitive. And then lastly, it bridges the conscious and unconscious mind. So creative expression allows for subconscious thoughts and emotions to surface in a safe and constructive way. So an example, journaling, writing poetry, or engaging in drama therapy, which we'll get to, can reveal underlying emotional conflicts or patterns. So, in summary, creative arts therapy is a mind body technique because it harnesses artistic expression to help heal the mind, regulate the emotions, and connect with the body, making it an effective tool for mental and physical health. So, with all of that said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, once again, share my screen with you guys. Let's see. Okay, so we're sharing. Now I just need to go into presentation mode. Please have patience with me. Let's see. Slideshow, I believe, from beginning. Okay, so this is a presentation I've been really honored to give a couple of times, and it's something that I'm really grateful to be able to share with you guys. And it's called Roles of Life. So it's exploring drama therapy and play as healing tools. So, okay. So this is a quote that I just want to start this presentation out with. It says, "Under the guise of play and pretend, we can for once act in new ways. bit of distance from real life afforded by, second, by drama enables us to gain perspectives on our real life roles and patterns and actions and to experiment actively with alternatives. So there's a concept in drama therapy, or when you guys like use movies or things like that in your sessions, that's called aesthetic distance. If I am sharing my experience or engaging in experience with a character versus my own life, there's a safety that comes with that because there's this plane of fantasy that makes it a lot easier to connect with these major themes. So let me go to my next slide here. Oh, okay. So my first question for you guys is, what do you know about drama therapy? What do you think it is? I'll just give you a second to think about that. So, from a, I guess, professional definition of drama therapy, it's really diverse. So it's rich and encompassing. It spans across multiple methods and models, but a mainstay is that we utilize action to help our clients through the experiential. We engage our clients with a myriad of techniques in the hopes that they cultivate strength, courage, and resiliency in the face of adversity and challenges. So these are 5 major types of drama therapy. Again, there are many modalities, but number 1 is psychodrama. Number 2, projective techniques. 3, therapeutic theater. 4, DBT or developmental transformations. And then the 5th one I have is individualized work. So number 1, we're going to start with, this is really the foundational idea that really began to put drama therapy on the map. And a man named Dr. Robert Landy developed what's called role theory. So role theory is a list of comprised of common reoccurring roles that were found throughout Western literature and plays. So I will say it's a very outdated list, but Dr. Landy, essentially went through all of these major literature, plays, movies, and he developed roles based off of patterns that he recognized. He did like an analysis of themes. And so things like mother, father, the sick one, the worker, all of these different roles. I have a card set of about 60 different roles. And they are archetypal roles, which Jung refers to as universal representations of a collective unconscious. So the idea is that we oscillate in and out of different roles every single day, depending on what environment we're in or who we're around. And the idea is to help our clients identify what roles they maintain as a part of their identity, what roles they want to get to, and then what roles are getting in their way. So Dr. Landy's role theory understands roles to be the most indivisible aspect of the personality. It represents a part of the person. It holds certain qualities and serves certain knowable purposes within the lives of all people. So I can't do it on this video conference, but if y'all are interested, please come to my office. I would love to show you. A role sort is, like I said with these cards, I place them all over the ground. And the first thing I do is say, whatever roles you feel like you identify with in the season of your life, I'd like you to just pick up that card. So we have all of these different roles that they pick, right? From there, we do another stack where we say, what are roles that you want to become that are maybe not there yet? So we have these 2 stacks. The third one is we make a list of what are roles that are getting in your way. So maybe that's the worried person or the person of faith or the agitated person. So we just get to know all of these different layers to a person's perceived identity, and that helps them to better understand themselves from a universal kind of perspective rather than I'm just this or I'm just that. Okay, so psychodrama, I love psychodrama. So psychodrama is an experiential form of therapy. It allows those in treatment to explore issues through action methods. This approach incorporates role playing and group dynamics to help people gain greater perspectives on emotional concerns, conflicts, or other areas of difficulty in a safe, trusted environment. So the founder, Jacob Moreno, believed that anxiety about any given situation is the greatest blocker of creativity. So I'm sure you've heard there's no clarity and confusion. So psychodrama is there to bring some clarity to a person using their own insight. So the main idea is that if you can lower that anxiety through practice and play, you can increase spontaneity and creativity. So psychodrama is more about the person's story, but does use theater concepts and ideas. It's more about people enacting their own stories and trying on new roles. So there is a YouTube link. There's a ton of psychodrama examples, but I'm just going to kind of lay this out for you. So it usually happens, if you think about Gestalt therapy, it's not that. Psychodrama generally happens in a group setting, and there is one person who is the director or the psychodramatist. And what they'll do is they'll ask for someone to be the protagonist, someone to share something that they're struggling with or a relationship they're struggling with, and people will volunteer. So in the example I'm going to use, we're going to say Sally never got a chance to tell her grandmother how much she loved her before she passed away. And that's just an aching sense of grief and regret that she has. So what the psychodramatist does is she interviews the protagonist. She gets to know a little bit more about the grandmother and about things they used to do together and why this conversation would be really important for her. From there, the psychodramatist asks other people in the group to volunteer to play Sally's grandmother. So Sally will then choose someone that feels safe to play her grandmother, and they will set up the scene. So the psychodramatist might say, where do you want this conversation to happen? And maybe Sally says, well, on my grandmother's back porch. So using chairs and props and things like that, Sally has full autonomy to set up this scene in a way that feels right to her. And from there, they will establish like what happened before this conversation and how can we kind of set the stage. Sally and then the actor playing her grandmother will then sit down or stand, whatever Sally wants to do. But the psychodramatist will encourage Sally to then start asking her grandmother questions to engage her in conversation. And she's a support, the psychodramatist is a support to Sally through this and doesn't go any further than Sally wants to go. Sally is really leading this. Now, what's so cool about psychodrama is Sally may ask a question to her grandmother, right? Maybe the question is, grandmother, why didn't you come visit me more? In that moment, what the psychodramatist can do is say, okay, I need you to switch roles. The person playing Sally's grandmother would then become Sally, and Sally would become her grandmother. They would ask the same question, right? She would repeat it back. Grandmother, why didn't you come visit me more? And then Sally, using her own insight, will answer spontaneously and creatively. So Sally may say, as her grandmother, you know what, Sally? You were so happy doing all of the things that you were doing and in your relationship. All I wanted you to do was enjoy your life, and I didn't want to hold you back. Oh, right? So I know that that's a very nuanced, very layered example, but it makes a lot more sense in person. But psychodrama is phenomenal if you ever get a chance to do a training or experience it yourself. It's a really, really powerful modality of drama therapy. All right, projective techniques. So these are things that I have seen done quite often in our office already. So using the idea of aesthetic distance, this is essentially what we're doing with projective techniques. Again, a lot of people think this is for kids. I find it really helpful when clients are very, very stuck, to say, you know what, I feel like we've been at this place many times in this conversation. So how about we just try something different? And I always kind of, pause it. Like, if you think that I am crazy when you leave here and this was not helpful, we don't ever have to do this again. But would you be willing to try something? And usually, like, the client's pretty desperate to figure things out, right? They're like, absolutely, whatever you want to do. So projective techniques can include things like sand tray therapy, puppetry, which is really powerful, mask making. A really cool way to use masks in individual work is really just a cutout, kind of like we did the bodies in our first video conference. It's just faces. On one side, you do, this is how I feel like I present to the world. And on the other side, you write words that describe this is what's really happening internally. So that's just a really fun. That's a helpful way to integrate it one-on-one. Poetry, whether that's reading poems that they resonate with or writing their own, and then storytelling. Um, a lot of things, again, can emerge from the subconscious when we are telling a story that does not depict our circumstances. I can go into more examples if anybody's interested in any of these projective techniques, but as far as like licensure, I feel like one question that came up in my retreat and comes up quite often is like, am I allowed to do these techniques? Abso-freaking-lutely. I mean, I'm a huge advocate in training and, having professionals that specialize in these different modalities to give you insight into what that looks like. But this is not a protected practice per se. Therapeutic theater, another one of the cool, they're all cool. I'm biased, I know, but therapeutic theater is a modality within drama therapy in which clients construct and develop their own theatrical performance around a therapeutic issue. The idea is that the process of putting on a play also parallels the journey of recovery. And within the process, persons working on recovery could gain insight and practice that they could apply to their life at large. So I'm going to provide to you guys two examples of therapeutic theater that I've had the honor of being involved in. The first one was one of my internship placements was at the VA in West Haven, Connecticut. And I led a drama therapy group with two of my colleagues and friends. And what we did is we established a theme. And the theme that the group collectively came up with was coming home. I had veterans that were age 30 to 88, a very diverse range, about 10 to 12. They were all men. But what we did is we engaged them creatively to put together a performance. So if they did not want to perform or act, what they would do is they would take part in putting the set together or painting or doing the snacks or the programs. Other people would write scenes or share a monologue or, write something for me and my friends to perform that mirrored their experience. But I can't tell you how powerful it was to build a family with these men and with my colleagues and share those experiences together. Even reading some of their monologues instead of them performing gave them distance to watch themselves. So that was an incredible experience that I will never forget. Another one that I was a part of was, oh my goodness, what was it called? I think it was called, it will come to me. Breaking Free, no, Breaking the Silence, something like that. But the theme, it was all drama therapy students, but the theme was our discomfort as humans to sit in silence. And so three different plays were constructed to explore this idea in different ways. And then we performed them like kind of as a play bonanza. We performed them over one weekend, but the way therapeutic theater is established, it's collective. We create it together. There's usually a director and, someone who's more authoritative to make sure that things are going well. So that was a really powerful one. And then another one was chaos. in the world and in the home. And I actually wrote a monologue that I didn't feel comfortable sharing. I didn't want to perform it. I had someone else perform it for me, and that was like one of the most cathartic moments ever, to sit in a theater to hear my story, but it wasn't coming from me. So super, super cool modality, and would love to explore it more if there's ever an opportunity. DVT, we're almost there, y'all. Thank you for hanging in there. But DVT is also called developmental transformations. There's four components to this approach: transformation, embodiment, encounter, and play space. And to put DVT really simply, it is a play space with your therapist with absolutely no rules. And the way that it's set up is it's to allow subconscious emotions or experiences to manifest on themselves, like organically. And then you guys sit down and you process and you talk about it. So one way that I experienced DBT was with another placement as I was working in a psychiatric, oh my goodness, I was working at Bellevue Hospital in the forensic psychiatric unit, which was really violent. I mean, it was really intense. There were just a lot of things going on. So my supervisor would use DVT for our supervision. So really the way it worked is I'd come into the room and my supervisor would say, okay, go. And, I might stomp my feet, or I might just sit there and cry, or I might just talk to God in that moment. So DVT is really, people have to be pretty open to the idea. They seek out DVT rather than it being something that I would integrate into therapy. But it is for people to engage spontaneity and creativity, to just experience what they're feeling, and feel that in their bodies. So it's really cool as well. Q&A and processing. Nobody's here, so we don't have to do any questions, but I will say, if y'all do have questions, or if you're interested in learning more about drama therapy, trainings, ways to get involved, or maybe even ways we could bring it to March, please don't hesitate to shoot me a text or come to my office or email me or whatever. But now my face is frozen, so I'm really sorry about that. But thank you all so much for being a part of this, and I look forward to meeting with you again soon.